Hi YouTube, I'm back. I know it's been a long time since my first video, but unfortunately I've been ill for the last couple of weeks, and then before that I was on holiday, so it's the first chance I've had to actually sit and record. This is my second take of this video, trying to get the best angle so that I can demonstrate parking for you as easily as possible. We've had to move lamps and change sides and angles, and it's been fun, 15-20 minutes. So anyway, as I said, this is going to be my demonstration of parking, which I promised in my first video, and I'm hoping that I can demonstrate to you the way that I park. This isn't the only way. I probably isn't the best way for a lot of people, but this is how I do it, and therefore it's the only way I can demonstrate. So the first rule of thumb is to always bring up your thread from the same place for every single floss. For me, I always stitch my crosses from the bottom left to the top right. So when I part my threads, I bring them up in the bottom left position, and that's all threads that you can see here. They're all in the position where I will start the cross for that colour. So as you can see, the thread I've got here is coming up in that hole, and that is the bottom left hand corner. So when I look at my chart, from the angle I've got, I won't bring the chart onto screen, but from the angle I've got, I know that that is a small V for that colour. So I use this to stitch. Apologies for my fingers getting in the way, but hopefully you can see that I just stitch as normal at this point. And hoping you can see this okay. So that's that one. I then look to where my next V is, which is just under. Okay. Just here. So I will bring that up. So I'm going to park this thread. Normally I work in a 20 by 20 grid, but I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. So as you can see, I pull this up in the bottom left hand corner for where I'm going to use it, and then I remove my needle. I find this means that and I just put my needle on my little Olaf needle minder. Apologies about the blaring, but needs must. So yeah, I just put my needle on the needle minder. I have, as I say, I normally remove the needle completely, as for me this means that it tangles up a lot less, because there's no weight at the ends of the thread. I find that with the needles seem to want to tangle up, and then you can't just pull the thread because otherwise you lose your needle. But just for this video, I did thread this second needle so that I wouldn't spend a couple of minutes threading needles. In the first video that I did, that's what I did. I threaded the needles, and then unfortunately I pulled the needle off before I'd stitched, so there was a couple of minutes of me re-threading, which felt a bit silly. So I've only done a couple, but this is, as again, just for ease for me. So this is the next colour that I'm going to use, which again is coming out from this stitch, and I can see that this is a triangle. So I stitch as usual into here, and then here. I can just find the space. So this is as normal, and then as if to park, as if I've just finished off a 10 by 10 square, or whatever you decide to do. I check my grid for where the next needle is, where that next needle comes, the next time that colour comes in. And for me, that is just here, in this circumstance. So again, I put it up in the bottom left-hand corner, and I take my needle off. And that's the basics. Some people prefer to do it in 10 by 10 rows. So each row they would look at. I find, particularly for hiads, that is very, very difficult. And I found 10 by 10 squares, for me, too small. So I've moved up to 20 by 20. Because I've finished a page, I've got 15 by 20 in this section. So that's what I'm doing on this section. But when I move over to the next grid, I'll do this whole 20 by 20. I have on this page, there's been one thread that was very minimal across the whole of the, so I did just do the whole of that just for ease. So that's what all these ones are. Another question people ask is, how far away are you willing to park? That is very much personal preference. I don't care about the back of my work. It's the back, no one else is going to see it. So for these ones I was lucky, it's only a couple of stitches down from where they last were in the block above. But I will happily, there's one down here, which I was willing to park. The last time this was seen, I do apologise. The last time this was used was way back in the top. So it's probably about 2 inches. But I don't care. That'll be covered up by all the stitches that I'll use the rest of the time. If there isn't anything on the page below it where you'll use that stitch, or you're not comfortable moving too far, there's 2 options. You can either finish the thread and then put it back on your bobbins, throw it away, whatever you do. Or you can do what I do, which is sometimes move across. So go to not below, but to the next square over. And the reason I've done it on these ones is that below on this one, because of the way the picture is, there's no more of that colour used. So I'll just, I've just continued them to the side. Apologies if you heard that noise, it was just my TV turning itself off. Because we haven't been watching it for a little while. So that was all that noise was. And apologies, that was my boyfriend coughing. But these are the things that happen on making YouTube videos. I think I've covered all the questions. I'm trying to think if anyone's had any others. My other tip is you can always practice parking. I practiced on a smaller project I have before I began my HIAID. But that was partly because I was so paranoid about making mistakes on this. Excuse me. So I had to practice. Sorry, I've got such a tickle in my throat at the moment. I had to practice before I'd start anything. So I started on a different project. I would say parking is only for full coverage patterns. If you were doing a sampler or just a small piece, there's no need to park because the stitches are so close together, or you will possibly see darker threads underneath the fabric, which if you're a perfectionist, it's not you don't really want to see that. Apologies again for my coughing. I can't think of anything else that's come up in questions from others. When I finish threads when I'm parking, I tend not to, because I prefer to stitch for long periods. I don't finish the threads in the back. I finish them up at the front, and I just pull them up through the top where they just sit, and then I'll deal with them when there's a few of them. And I just take them completely away from my stitching area, and then I don't get them confused with my other threads. And then I just flip them all at the same time and then just snip them. And that's everything, I think. So thank you for watching, and thank you everyone who's subscribed or watched my previous video. I hope it won't be so long till my 3rd one comes out. So thank you very much. And I'll see you all soon, YouTubers. Bye now.